All right. So if you guys want to turn to 1 John 2, 3 through 6, we're going to keep going through 1 John. All right. You guys pretty much there? Yeah? Okay. So let's see. 1 John 2, verse 3. Now by this we know that we know him if we keep his commandments. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. He who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. What was interesting, I was remembering back, I didn't pull it up, but this was, I think this was the text of my very first message that I brought to Oasis of Hope out of 1 John 2, talking about the example of Christ. But, I think one of the things that makes us love John, especially in his epistles, is how simple and just to the point he is, kind of just like James in a way. They're different, but I mean, they both really just get to the point, and they don't beat around the bush. And he just says, we know that we know him if we keep his commandments. And it's kind of funny. He says that it's a test for ourselves whether we really know God, so that we're not kidding ourselves or fooling ourselves. We know that we know God if we keep his commandments. If not, John's saying you're just fooling yourself. You should be a little worried if you say you know God, but you don't obey his commands. It's pretty simple test there, huh, Ponce?
Absolutely.
What do you think when he says, whoever says, I know him, I know God, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him?
Well, we know that John hung around Jesus, and he did so for a number of years. So he's really just repeating the same words Jesus said in John 14:15. Jesus says that if you love me, you will obey my commands. And then Jesus says, why do you keep calling me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? So in reality, he's just repeating Jesus's words.
Yeah. So it's not about saying, it's just a reinforcement. It's not about saying the right words. It's about living out the right actions and then having your words line up. If there's going to be a discrepancy between what you say and what you do, what do you think the real truth is?
What you do.
What you do, right? You could say whatever you want. That's just anything in life. You can say whatever you want, but the reality is, in our actions, that's where the and so if the two things don't line up, we pretty much got to go by the fruit of what's happening. And even ourselves, it's a protection against self-deception, or kind of getting comfortable and like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian and I follow the Lord. But your life just doesn't resemble him at all. And it's a good reminder. But verse 5, but whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected in him, or has been completed in him. By this we know that we're in God. And then verse 6, He who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. And so Christ is our ultimate example. And if we say we live in him, then it's kind of like our, we always have our homework assignment. We always have something to work on to improve, you know. This is just one of those things that you never stop growing in is. And so it just reminds me, verse 6 is why. Let me just ask you guys, how do we, so if we say we live in him, we should walk just as he walked. Oh, how do we practically do that? What are the ways that we practically live it out?
We walk in love. Keep the great commands, right? Which is love yourself, love God, and love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But how are we able? How are we able to? What are the keys to doing those things?
I wanted to find out how he walked by studying his word and knowing about Jesus. It's pretty hard to follow someone when we don't even know anything about him. We can't do it just once a week, you know.
Yeah,
it's got to be a daily meditation of his word.
That was one of the points I was thinking for sure is why do we continually look in the word, and why are we should naturally be drawn to Jesus because he's our great example. And like you said, we could spend a lifetime studying him, how he walked, and then you keep learning new things, and you keep going deeper and realizing, you know, things you never discovered. And so just like Ponzi said, that's so if we say we live in him, we should walk as he walked. Well, the first key is, okay, well, how did Jesus walk? How did he live? Right. And so that's why we study diligently. What would be another key after we've studied and we keep studying? What else?
Do it. Gotta live it and do it, obey it.
Okay, how do we do that? Do we just say, okay, now I know what to do. I just need to pull up my bootstraps, roll up my sleeves, and I just need to walk how he walked. Is that how we do it?
We need to ask him for help.
I think there's the Holy Spirit. Is the Holy Spirit living in us and directing us? Are we listening to the Holy Spirit?
Yeah, you're definitely right. We do need to do it, but the Lord never. The reality is, the more we study how Jesus walked, the more we realize it's impossible for us to live how he walked. And yet John says, if you say you live in him, you should walk exactly how he walked. You know, like we say, okay, well, that's impossible. You're right. It's impossible in our own strength. But that's where we must be filled with the Spirit, and we must be being filled. We must be in continual. We're continually in need of the Holy Spirit, or else we don't have a prayer of fulfilling this. Any other keys you guys think to living out verse 6?
Yeah, I don't know about a key, but I'm really captured by verse 5 where it says that whoever keeps his word, that basically is a revelation. If you're able to keep his word, that the love of God has been completed or perfected in you. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's something that one night you went to sleep and then in the middle of the night you got zapped with the love of God and you woke up the next day and it was complete, you know. In my experience anyway, it's about making the hard choices when I don't want to forgive, or I don't want to love. It's difficult. Some people are lovable and some aren't, and
Yeah.
things like that, and just, but when you define love, for me, the sacrificial love, the highest form of love, the love of God, is when you can choose what's best. And if we even always know what's best, but if I can choose what's best for others, then I'm really loving them. It may not, choosing what's best may not mean, when Jesus, scolded his disciples, it didn't look like he's loving on them, but he was.
Mm-hmm.
When he washed their feet, that looks more like loving on them, but they were kind of appalled that he was taking that low stature, especially Peter's like, "You're not washing my feet," and then Jesus says, "Okay, well, then you don't have any part with me." And then he goes, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe you better just give me a bath, wash all of me." And it, opened up his eyes. So what I'm saying is love is making the choice that's for the highest good. Now, I don't know how that always translates, but I think the choosing, as far as what you said, is so true. I can't always make the right choice. I haven't always made the right choice, and it's a very difficult thing. So I don't think if you start making right choices, that all of a sudden you're going to magically be filled with the love of God. But I do believe, since it is a fruit of the Holy Spirit, that yes, the Holy Spirit has to work. We have to yield to him and say yes to the Lord and no to us, enough that his love begins to be part of us. And we begin to actually agree with what God would do, what God would say, how God would behave, more than the way this world says we should behave, or the way our flesh wants to behave. So anyway, that's that being complete in the love of God. That's amazing, that verse 5. And then I could see it, though, if you are filled with his love, then you are going to resemble, or walk as he walked. You're going to resemble him. Still kind of ethereal. It's still, I didn't give you a key, but it's just, it's as far as I can get with it.
Yeah. Well, I think just things that good reminders is avoid self-deception by judging where we're at by our actions, and not, just what we claim, but let our claims line up with the reality of our actions. And it's a continual study of how he walked, so that we'll know what we're shooting for, and renewing our mind to live, and then being filled with the Holy Spirit, and then just walking in that fellowship, staying connected to him. We know Jesus was connected to the Father in that fellowship, and so we got to walk connected to the Lord and to the Father, and in the power of the Holy Spirit. So it's a good reminder, just about kind of like look at where we're at, and if we're are we deceiving ourselves? Are we lying to ourselves and lying to others? Or are we being honest and then trying to keep his word, right?
I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell myself, or tell the Lord, I need more of you. I so need to be filled with your love. I think even recognizing that need, the need we have, and how vital our connection with him is, that we're utterly dependent on him for this to even happen. And without that dependency, I don't think it can happen, because I think we're going to be prideful. I think we're going to think we're doing it. And God isn't asking you to do it or perform it. He's asking you to be dependent and trust him for it, and focus on him, and not focus on the things that are going to cause you not to be loving. And so we do have some choices to make, but it's all about him and our dependency on him, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it with that. That's a good word for us, and a good thing just for allow, even as we're praying, allow the Holy Spirit to search our hearts and just see where we're at and where we need confession of sin and where we need to draw close and walk like Jesus where we're not. But if you guys will pull up your prayer list,